President talked about today that Soleimani, the terrorist, was engaged in active plotting. There was an attack that was imminent that could have killed dozens or hundreds of Americans. We found an opportunity and we delivered. We brought all of America's best and brightest together, found an opportunity, and took this guy who you described pretty accurately as one of the worst terrorists ever to walk the face of the planet. We took him off the battlefield. We were successful at eliminating the risk that he would ever conduct a terror campaign anywhere in the world again, or that he could put any American at risk one more time.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to take a look at the Iran hoax. Is it going to be the next push by the Democrats to go after President Trump for exposing their deep state globalist cabal crimes that they have been committing against the American people for so long? We're going to take a very deep dive into all of this information. You guys are going to want to check out that, plus a bunch of breaking news stories, so stick around and check it out. Hi, my name is Craig. Welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. Look, if you guys haven't done it yet, come here, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified as soon as these videos get posted. We always look over at the Q board. We have nothing new on the Q board, but as Q always says, we have so much more than we know. So we're going to take a look at these incredible breaking news stories. We left off at Q post 3774 and we still haven't had any new ones yet, but we're going to jump right into it because that's what you guys are here for. Now, first, we're going to kind of recap from the last episode. In the last episode, we talked about the fact that it's very possible and likely even that the Chinese and the Russians have been backing the development of the Iranian nuclear program for quite some time. And how did they do this? Well, we've talked about it before in looking at the connection between Iran and North Korea. And why is that so important? Well, what we know now, especially, and have known, I guess you could say, for quite some time, thanks to patriots and whistleblowers like this person here, these people here, Lieutenant Colonel Dennis Haney and Major General Paul Valley, former Army and Air Force officers coming forward, right, and saying exactly what we know to be true, which is that the Russians and the Chinese were helping develop the North Korean nuclear program, and then they were bringing in Iranian scientists and showing them exactly how to basically develop their own nuclear program, and that the JCPOA, the Iran deal, was the Obama administration's way of getting in on the action, right? And getting a way to basically funnel money into this organization who he was backing from the beginning. Now, why would President Obama side with and back the Iranians and who chant death to America? And why was he always giving such favorable orders that would help out people like the Muslim Brotherhood and other organizations that stood in direct opposition to American sovereignty and freedom and security? Well, I'll tell you why. We're going to take a deep dive into that in this episode, looking back at what Q has told us before. But before we get into that, I want to read this to you to give you an idea of how Russia and China with North Korea have assisted, allegedly, the Iranians in developing their nuclear program, their nuclear weapons program, helping them enrich weapons-grade uranium and the like. Here are the facts, right? And it says here, this is the facts according to Major General Paul Valley and Lieutenant Colonel Dennis Haney here, where it says, the coalition of Russia, China, and North Korea have assisted Iran in achieving a nuclear-capable weapon since the 1979 sanctions have been in place. Iran has had free rein to develop their nuclear weapons program unabated. This weapons program was under the guise of a nuclear energy program for domestic energy production. China and North Korea, during the same time frame, developed their nuclear programs, maturing same to include land-based and sea-launched weapons systems, testing their entire launch, delivery, and detonation process through actual nuclear detonations. Iranian government observers, research scientists, and senior military officials have been on site in North Korea for all their tests on nuclear component systems. In essence, Iran has had the benefit of having North Korea essentially do their development and testing for them. I'll leave a link to this article at theamericanreport.org. Mary Fanning, Alan Jones, great work on this website. You guys should go check it out. But if you want to read the full thing, it'll give you more details, but that's the gist of it, right? So you see right there that the Russians and the Chinese helping the North Koreans were helping the Iranians, right? And then we have to go look at what Q told us. And this is all the way back in August of 2018, right? Q starts by giving us this article from Reuters saying, Iran parliament censures Rouhani and signed pragmatists losing sway. So now this, if you think about it contextually, and especially in the timeline in which this occurs, President Trump's taken office. He's put heavy press against the Iranians. He's in the process, or actually after, had withdrawn from the JCPOA. So they were feeling the pressure, especially given the fact the sanctions were back in full effect. You got to remember what Obama did, right? Obama not only sent them $1.5 billion in cash in random unmarked multi-denominational bills like euros and renminbi and yuan and whatever, and US dollars, but they also gave $150 billion, I think, or so in sanction relief. And that sanction relief had to do with the oil industry, which is the primary way this country's economy grows. And you have to understand now that the sanctions took a hard hit back then, and it's pushed them to the brink. We are coming to that point at which there is no coming back, and they were going to do something big. As you saw in the beginning, you heard Mike Pompeo tell the press, look, there was going to be a massive attack that would take hundreds or thousands of American lives if we didn't take action against Soleimani. Why would they do that, right? They would do it because it causes instability and it hurts their enemy, which is us, we, the American people. And that's definitely something to consider as a part of their strategy. But listen to what Q has to say, and this is a good point to go back to. It says, who paid Hussein to attend Harvard Law School? Who is Prince Al-Walid bin Talal? Why would Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, Saudi royal, pay Hussein to attend Harvard Law School? Was Hussein a prominent political figure or a person of influence at that time? No. Who is Valerie Jarrett? Where is she born? When did Valerie Jarrett hire Michelle Robinson? 1991 timeline. And then it gives this article talking about how in 1991 that Barack Obama got engaged to this Michelle Robinson, aka Michelle Obama, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. And it says, who is mayor former Richard Daley? Who is mayor current Rahm Emanuel? Hussein, the Chicago mayors. Hussein should be very nervous. Brennan should be very nervous. Kerry should be very nervous. Merkel should be very nervous. Plus 29. How were the pallets of cash divided? How many planes were used to transport? Who operated the planes? What shadow agency directed operations? Why wasn't the money simply wire transferred? U.S. had authority to open bank-to-bank transfers. How do you prevent financial transfer logs? How were the cash withdrawals in EU categorized, labeled? Where did the cash originate from? What time of day did the withdrawals occur? Who provided security? Why wasn't Congress notified? Why was the U.S. government kept in the dark? U.S. law broken? Did all planes land in the same location, airport? Why did one particular plane land outside of Iran? Why was a helicopter involved? Who did the money go to? How do you audit a foreign aid big block transfer? Did Rouhani keep unknown comms as insurance? What agency collects all forms of data? What agency did at Snowden work for originally? Did he train on the farm? When did at Snowden join no such agency? Define contractor. Define the PRISM program. What year did Snowden release spec details of PRISM? Mid-2013. Impact limit NSA's ability to utilize, collect fake news push for congressional restrictions. Open source push to create counter defense purpose. Blue skies for clown op. When was the joint plan of action Iran deal executed? Late 2013. Do you believe in coincidences? Nothing to see here. Q. So a lot of you probably got most of that, but let me kind of go over what this is laying out for us. This is what Q is laying out for us to start to digest as far as understanding how this is all connected, right? Why did President Trump help push the purge in the Saudi royal family to begin with? Right after, you guys remember, in October of 2017, the horrific attack in Las Vegas, right? We all know that there's suspicious connections there to everything that happened with the Saudi royal family and Al-Walid bin Talal and possible secret meetings. Look, I don't know anything, but I do know that it sounds, when you look at the evidence surrounding that, especially if you look at the way Google censored it and how all of the search algorithms, you know, how they get gamed, which was uncovered by, obviously, Zach Voorhees, somebody who I know personally. They came forward and exposed the keywords that they put in the algorithms to censor. And so most of them had to do with that shooting that happened in Las Vegas. Well, what happened in Las Vegas? You have to ask that question. The Four Seasons Hotel, Mandalay Bay, multiple shooters reported, yet we only have the official story that there was one person out of a window, right? How did that all come together? What was that? I've heard theories that range all the way from obviously a weapons deal gone bad to a secret meeting where they actually tried to take out President Trump if he was there clandestinely, secretly meeting with some of these people to negotiate behind closed doors, right? That's what a president does. You negotiate with these people and you try to avoid war at all costs, right? And then if war comes, it comes. But anyway, that's getting completely off on a separate tangent. Remember, the connection between al-Walid bin Talal and the Iranian regime and the Muslim Brotherhood and the corrupt Obama administration is something never to overlook here, right? You talk about Harvard Law School. Why was al-Walid bin Talal paying for a scholarship for him to attend that law school? Has he been a sleeper the whole time? Valerie Jarrett, born in Iran. Look at the other people who he was surrounding himself with and the people working in his DOJ and FBI. A lot of these people were not only, sympathetic toward Iran, they were actually, of Persian descent who grew up in Saudi Arabia and Iran. So you have to remember that there was a definite connection between Obama and the Muslim Brotherhood, as exemplified, even if you just look at some of the reporting about Abedin and her connection to the Muslim Brotherhood and, his Secretary of State's personal assistant, right? And former wife of Anthony Weiner. I don't even think they've gotten an official divorce yet. Think about it, though. That's the connection that Q is trying to tell us to look at. And it's going further to say that it all connects back to Chicago and John Brennan and John Kerry, and everything connects to the EU. Angela Merkel. Was the cash divided up amongst themselves, right? Because you can't trace it. You can't audit where that money goes. You just put $1.5 billion on a plane, and we're just supposed to take your word that it got to the Iranians. Were there other planes involved? Did pallets get taken? Did some of it end up in slush funds in countries around the world in the names of some of these corrupt politicians who put together this deal? Who provided security? It was the clowns who did this, right? They helped facilitate it. Who originally came from the clowns? Edward Snowden. What was his job? He was trained by the CIA to go infiltrate the NSA, to get their surveillance technology and then compromise it by, basically releasing it publicly as he did in order to temporarily blind them, as Q says, to make blue skies for clown operation. The clown operation was the Iran deal, the extortion of millions, if not billions of dollars of American taxpayer dollars into these corrupt politicians and corrupt military officials and you name it down the list, pockets, right? And this all happened around late 2013. And the Pentagon even was saying to President Obama when he was in office, look, we have options. We can take out ISIS. Why was there an effort not to move on ISIS? Why did they let ISIS grow and continue to be the existential threat? Because it continued to draw a distraction against the crimes that were being committed against the American people through this treason, through this sedition, allegedly, where you look at, if you're facilitating the sale of a large portion of our uranium reserves to the Russians, while at the same time the Russians are helping the Chinese help the North Koreans and the Iranians gain nuclear weapons, which is completely antithetical to what we would want as a country, right? We don't want more countries becoming nuclear powers. We would want less. But if you're bought and paid for and you're corrupt, then yes, of course you want these countries to have nuclear weapons. So remember, there's no coincidences, but there's nothing to see here, absolutely nothing to see here. I mean, if you think about it in context of this article just came out talking about China wanting to save the Iran nuclear deal. Well, yes, because they have a heavy investment in that deal. That deal was a part of their ability to create another existential threat in the Middle East that would rival other powers such as Saudi Arabia, who has, you guessed it, a major alliance with the United States. They want another nuclear superpower in the middle of the Middle East that's a major oil supplier that they could say is their ally. And they are open allies. So these stories come out, give you an idea of how China's been pushed now with President Trump taking office away from the oil markets through these sanctions. The re-implementation of the sanctions against Iranian oil reserves has caused them to step away from the Iranian push, but they still want to save the nuclear deal because they understand this. They understand this right here. Iran's foreign minister threatens to expose Western diplomats who took bribes to create the Iran nuclear deal. So think about this too. You have what Q told us here, the fact that if you look back at this post, it says, did Rouhani keep the phone calls as insurance? Right here. Did Rouhani keep unknown comms as insurance? Well, of course he did. He kept the comms that prove that the back door to the deal was, here, we'll give you $1.5 billion, but maybe a few of those pallets just disappear and end up in, Swiss bank accounts or Cayman Island accounts under the name of, or as Q told us, Singapore, Banco de Mexico, Deutsche Bank, possibly in those banks as kickbacks to the people who put it together. Because the Chinese are one of the most corrupt governments in the world, and they run on a system of corruption and kickbacks. And this is what we were selling out to. So don't forget that. Not to mention now, looking at that in context of the fact that you have Pelosi introducing a war powers resolution to, quote, limit the president's military actions regarding Iran. So basically they're trying to handcuff him in a battle with a terrorist regime who possibly used their blackmail and corrupt other corrupt officials inside of our country to embezzle or steal millions of dollars or billions of dollars from the U.S. taxpayers and enrich themselves. So of course they're going to try to limit his ability to get to the bottom of that, and that's what the call to action is from Iran. They're saying they're going to expose everyone if they don't stop President Trump. And again, it's Schiff now calling for congressional hearings into Trump's drone strikes. So this is going to be the next thing. It'll be the Iran hoax. First we had the Russia hoax, then the Ukraine hoax. Now it's going to be the Iran hoax. Now they're going to say that President Trump violated international law with what he did to Soleimani, and we have to go into a years-long investigation into that. Why? Because they don't want investigations into their own criminal corruption that they've been involved in from day one. Not to mention you have bozos like this guy Michael Moore personally direct messaging on social media the Ayatollah of Iran to beg for forgiveness for Americans and to give him time to subvert American foreign policy and the Trump administration's decisions to protect American sovereignty and to protect American security globally. This is insane. I've said to myself, how are these people allowed to get away with this? But then you have to ask yourself, of course we have freedom of speech, but at what point does it cross the line into treason and sedition? And you see where we're going with this, because you have other stars here who make these crazy comments. Like, so you have Iran coming out and putting an $80 million bounty on President Trump's head, which is, obviously they're great people. I say very sarcastically, because it's disgusting that you see the fake news going and basically giving these titles to all of these, terrorists and saying they're great people in not so many words, while at the same time, their literal regime is putting bounties on our president's head. And George Lopez jumps on social media here and literally says his words, "We'll do it for half." Do you guys understand what that really means? I mean, I said here, why aren't we investigating this? We should have the FBI, Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security. They should all be, investigating this. This is sedition and treason. I mean, minimum. Yeah, he's a comedian. You can't call for that. There's 18 U.S. Code 871, threats against the president and successors to the presidency. Whoever knowingly and willfully deposits for conveyance in the mail or for a delivery from any post, any letter carrier, paper, writing, massive document containing paper, writing, print, missive, or document containing any threat to take the life or to kidnap or to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States, President-elect, the Vice President, and other next in the succession of line to the President, to the office of the President of the United States or the Vice President-elect, or knowingly and willfully otherwise makes any such threat against the President, President-elect, Vice President, or other officer next in order of the succession of the office of President or Vice President-elect shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 5 years or both. These people should be going to jail. They are violating the law. And they're getting away with it for no other reason than people just go, oh, it's just a comedian. Ha ha ha. Well, it's not funny. And it's not funny to the Americans that voted for President Trump. And it's something that, we're going to have to stand in stark opposition against as we continue to fight these battles. And Lindsey Graham coming out saying to Pelosi, look, you got to put up this impeachment or they're going to shut it down. And rightfully so, because as Q told us before, never forget that there's an active effort inside of our government to take all of the information, right? To take all of these speculations and these wild, baseless things like the Steele dossier and use them and weaponize them, or the phone call that turned into a nothing burger between President Trump and President of Ukraine. They're trying to take all of this stuff and create these blockades by making these endless investigations so that nothing can get done in Congress, so that the real investigations won't start. Like going into Burisma, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Devin Archer, the fact that there was $1.5 billion from the Bank of China given to the Bidens, or you can go back to the Clinton Foundation, Uranium One. You can go in any direction you want with these Democrats, and they're all, in my opinion, involved in rampant corruption. And there's no one going down that path because they've done everything they can to blockade it. You have a lot of people inside our government who don't want to go down these rabbit holes. And the fact is, there's an actual threat to national security in the sense that, these people, if the betrayal is as big as we think it might be, then this could shatter our government overnight. Like Q has said before, what happens if you go in and arrest 60% of Congress? I don't think that'll end well for anyone involved. I know it sounds crazy, right? Because you're like, well, we should all arrest all these people. But as Q pointed out even earlier too, a lot of these people were forced, were compromised, their families, they were blackmailed and they were threatened. I mean, some of these people aren't necessarily the worst people in the world. A lot of them are just threatened. They're literally acting under threat of one thing or the other, according to Q. So I'm just putting that out there for you guys to kind of chew on, and you let me know what you think down in the comments. Of course, did you guys see Ricky Gervais? I mean, just completely destroy Hollywood. It was probably one of the best things I ever saw. And then he obviously came forward and did that. I thought that was really good. So I just thought I'd touch on that really quick. If you guys haven't seen it, you can go over to my Twitter and find it over there. But that's pretty much where we're going to wrap it up for this episode. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. A few more things before we go. Watch these videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way. Why? There's a content suppression algorithm actively working to suppress this content, to keep it away from you. And all I can do is, keep putting it out there and having you guys hit the share button, or just go up in your browser, copy the link to this video, share it on your social media there. However you want to do it, just do it that way, and it helps channel up big time. Of course, hit the subscribe button, but also leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to say about all this. You can come find me a few different ways. You can come find me over here on Twitter at JUSTINFORMED, the official Twitter page for Just Informed Talk. It's a great place to connect outside the channel. Also, I have JustinformedNews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk. All the videos posted over here for you to check out, plus a whole lot more. Backup channel, BitChute.com/JustinformedTalk. Y'all should come over here and check this out because there's a lot of information over here that I suspect you guys will enjoy seeing. Also, you can be Brave. Download the Brave browser. There's a link in the description. What is the Brave browser? Well, it's like an Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, whatever you're probably using now, but better. It's the same functionality. It's an internet browser. The only difference is it blocks the ads and it makes your internet experience that much better. I use this product. I love it. It's free. You use the link in the description to download it. And when you use that link in the description to download it, they will make a contribution to this channel. So you download it, install it, and run it on your computer. And I guarantee you guys are going to enjoy that product because I know I do. So definitely go check out the link in the description. Download the Brave browser for free today. And there's a couple of ways you can help out if you want to make a financial contribution to this channel because, like I said, the big tech companies, YouTube, they're trying to basically put channels like this out of business. They take away our traffic, our organic reach, they take away our monetization. But by the grace of God and thankfully you guys have stepped forward, and I'm so appreciative and thankful for all of your support. Patreon is how you keep this channel going. It's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it. Now you're helping create content here on this channel on a regular basis. I really appreciate that, and I'm thankful. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. So check out all links to everything that we've talked about here on this episode will be in the description. Now, Before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And today, I want to share a verse out of the book of Psalms, and it's Psalm 130, and it's verse 1 through, let's say, 5. And I just want to share these words because they talk about redemption. And I think that we are all entitled to become better, and that God can wash away the sins of even the most evil of people. But you have to want it. You have to come to God and say, I give you everything. I'm sorry. And you have to start leading a righteous life. You can't just, expect it to happen. And that's what redemption really is, I think, in my opinion. So I want to share these words and then we'll talk about it. But it says, out of the depths I call to you, Lord. Lord, listen to my voice. Let your ears be attentive to my cry for help. Lord, if you considered sins, Lord, who could stand? But with you there is forgiveness, so that you may be revered. I wait for the Lord. I wait and put my hope in his word. I wait for the Lord. Now, look, those words to me remind me that we have to be open to forgiving, and God is a part of that forgiveness. And even the worst people, in my opinion, are capable of becoming saved. And I know that sounds so counterintuitive, but I'm not perfect and I'm not able to forgive certain people of certain things. But I understand that as a Christian, that's what we're all called to do. We're called to be able to have that humility, to have that ability to forgive inside of us. And that's really the toughest thing of all, right? It's the toughest thing of all. I know through my life, I've had to forgive people, and forgiveness is truly one of the best ways to find healing in your own heart and to become closer to God. But at the same time, as we go through this and we fight such evil, we have to recognize that those who don't repent, those who don't seek redemption, those who don't, stop what they're doing and confess their sins and try to live a life for God, they're the ones that are going to the pit ultimately. And that's another realization I think is hard for a lot of people to make, especially if, in your own life with your family or friends or whoever, you may see something wrong and you may see them doing things that you're not happy with or that you don't, agree with. And you understand that you can't really make them do anything. You have to allow them to seek redemption on their own. You can give them all the guidance. You can bring them to God. You can show them the way. But ultimately, it has to be their choice. And, I hope that message talks to you guys out there. I like to share this segment at the end because I think there's so much wisdom that we can get from the good book and from what God has given us to learn. And I just hope that these words touch your heart and help you understand how redemption will play a role in your life, maybe with yourself or your family or friends or people you meet, or something that will happen in the future. I don't know. But that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. I want to say thank you guys for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. Remember, come here, click the big red subscribe button. Also, hit it, punch it, tap it, elbow it. Hit the like button if you guys like this content. I want to see you make more. That's it for me. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed, and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.